When you are traveling through the wondrous lands of Tamriel, be it Skyrim, Cyrodiil, Morrowind, the Iliac Bay region, or hell, even all of Tamriel in low resolution if you are partial to playing Elder Scrolls 1 Arena, you will come across the many powerful and not so powerful armors made of all different kinds of materials. But throughout the Elder Scrolls games, there have been some common types. Iron armor from, of course, iron, steel armor from steel, dwarven armor crafted from ancient dwarven alloys, glass armor made from malachite, so on and so forth. There are a lot of unique materials that armor and weapons are made from, but above them all stands a material that is coveted by many and precious for the very reason that it is one of the strongest materials known to the races of man and mer. We are talking about the mysterious substance known as ebony. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to FudgeMuppet. My name is Scott, and today we are talking about the truth of ebony. What is ebony? What makes it so powerful? Well, let's dive right in and answer that, but remember, if you have more obscure lore questions you want answered by us, be sure to comment your requests below and subscribe for your answers in video form. So in the land of Tamriel, ebony is a rare and powerful black-colored metal that is mined from some specific areas. And just to clarify, there is no real-world metal substance called ebony. It is completely made up, unlike iron or steel. There is in fact an ebony in real life, but it is a type of wood, a hard black wood with a common use in the construction of pianos. But back in the Elder Scrolls, the ebony we find and make into precious armor is actually referred to as God's blood. Quite simply, it is the blood of a god or gods, but one particular note of interest is its abundance in the land of Morrowind, specifically Vvardenfell. You see, Vvardenfell is home to the Red Mountain, a giant volcano in the center of the island. It actually erupted in the 5th year of the 4th era, causing many Dark Elves to flee their home, but before this, there were many ebony mines who would export the metal to all corners of the Empire, for a substantial price, of course. Ebony itself is described as an extremely hard, durable black glass-like substance, which does remind me of obsidian, which is a real-world volcanic glass, but is far more brittle and hard, which of course ebony is not, because it can be melted down and smithed and manipulated. Anyways, the common folklore surrounding the material is that it is crystallized God's blood, and this crystallized God's blood is found in high quantities surrounding the Red Mountain, which is, or I guess by the time of Skyrim, was home to the heart of a particular god, Lorkhan. You see, way back when Nirn was still under construction, the time god Auriel, as punishment for Lorkhan's trickery, killed Lorkhan, ripped out his heart, and shot it into the sea with his bow, and from the heart in the sea, the Red Mountain would grow, along with the surrounding lands. So this heart of Lorkhan is surrounded by high densities of ebony, aka crystallized God's blood, which makes sense, since a heart's role is to pump blood around the body, except his heart has pumped it around the land of Morrowind, so in a way you could assume that most of the ebony found in the game is actually Lorkhan's crystallized blood. How cool is that? When running around Skyrim in your ebony armor, you are in fact wearing an armor suit of crystallized God's blood. However, ebony is not entirely exclusive to Morrowind. Presumably, it could be found in tiny amounts anywhere. However, we know that there are no mines for the stuff in Cyrodiil, so I imagine a good rule of thumb is to assume the further you are from Red Mountain, the less ebony you will find. Vvardenfell, like we said, is covered in ebony sources, and a safe assumption is that mainland Morrowind has a decent amount as well. Raven Rock on the island of Solstheim is also home to an expansive ebony mine, and there are also locations in Skyrim where ebony ore can be found. But it would be safe to assume that outside of these lands, ebony is scarce or non-existent. This is why in the 3rd era the Empire had to buy pretty much all of their ebony from the Dunmer of Morrowind. In this time it was illegal to mine or sell ebony without an Imperial charter, and punishment will be severely applied in accordance with Imperial law. In fact, ebony smuggling was a very profitable industry in Vvardenfell, albeit an incredibly dangerous and risky one. Now, when playing the Elder Scrolls games, you probably well know that ebony is not the highest prized armor, but in fact Daedric armor is. This is true, but more importantly to know is that Daedric armor is actually just a variation of ebony armor. Daedric armor and weapons are created by binding a Daedra to the object of ebony using a special process, one that is both very unpleasant for the Daedra being bound and known only to the inhabitants of Oblivion, or so they say, because as an especially talented Dragonborn, you can level up your smithing to the point where you can infuse the melted ebony with a Daedra heart to create your own set of Daedric armor. Daedric objects are actually said to retain echoes of the Daedra's suffering endured during the item's manufacture. Many Daedric artifacts are also created from ebony, which should be very clear considering their names. Mephila's ebony blade and Boethiah's ebony mail are some such examples, both powerful and sought after by the many champions of Tamriel. Ebony also appears in some myths and stories of Tamriel. For example, according to Nordic myth and legend, it is said that Ysgramor's famous elf-killing axe, Wuthrad, was made from ebony. But not just any ebony. It is said that on the Night of Tears, as Sarthal was burned and destroyed by the Snow Elves, Ysgramor cried tears of pure ebony. Ysgramor's son Ingol collected the tears and used them to forge Wuthrad, which would then be used by Ysgramor as he came back with his 500 companions and purged Skyrim of the Snow Elves. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the truth about ebony. Ebony, the powerful and sought-after metal used in the creation of prized armor and weaponry, that is in fact not just any metal like iron or silver, but his crystallized god's blood, more specifically, at least for the most part, the blood of Lorkhan. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you liked this fun little fact video about ebony. It's always cool to see that there is more than meets the eye to what I used to think was just a standard black metal. Elder Scrolls has my favorite lore of pretty much any series, and I gladly dive into it every time we make videos like these, so please feel free to suggest some other parts of lore you would like explained, and perhaps we can make a video about it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Social media links are in the description. My name is Scott from FudgeMuppet, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again next time.